Okay. Welcome everyone to my channel, Beth Bell Live. I am so happy to have you here. And I'm also excited today because we have a live studio audience. So we've got you live online and also these beautiful souls in the room. So if you have a question, please put them in the comments if you're with us live. If you're watching on replay, you can still put the questions in the comments, but you can also go to bethbell.me/question and write your question there. It also is a little bit more private. But I'd love to hear what's on your mind and what's on your heart, because what we do here is get to the heart of the matter. And it's so important for you to know, what is my state of my heart? If you go to bethbell.me, you can also take the state of the heart assessment, which is a really fun assessment to see if your heart is blocked, broken, healing, or whole. And we'll give you some tips to help you with that. But if you have a question that's weighing heavy on your heart today, maybe it's causing you heartache or heartbreak, either way. It can be family, friends, lovers. So it's not always just romantic love that breaks our heart. Now, we've got some pre-submitted questions today that we're going to start out with. And I know my live studio audience has a bunch of questions burning as well. So we're going to jump right in and get started. So question number 1, where is God in the relationship? Explain the universal plan for relationships. Okay, so this one's a good one. Where is God in the relationship? Explain the universal plan for relationships. God is within you. You are God, and God is within whoever you're in a relationship with. And the biggest thing that gets in the way is the mind that tells us that we're separate from one another. Yes, there's a lot of religious gods that people pray to, believe in. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, but the God is within you. The God is within oneness. It's within unity. And so whether the question is coming from someone who wants to know, like, where is God in my relationship with my partner? Or where is God in my relationship with my parents? It is always in unity, and it's always within yourself, that guiding light that is deep within, glowing. And the only times that it's not glowing is when we let our minds get in the way. So we want to keep our soul in the driver's seat and allow ourselves to feel that love and that exchange with the other person. So I would say, if you're experiencing something really specific, because I didn't get any specifics on, like, if there one person that you're like really struggling with and you're like, I just wish I had more guidance on this. The guidance is there. It's quieting the mind to actually listen and to feel and to hear what the guidance is. Because sometimes I think we're looking for that big, like, God in the sky, like, here's what you should do. And sometimes it does come like that. But a lot of times it comes as a soft nuance. It comes as something you feel within. It comes as a gentle nudge. It comes as maybe an idea. And sometimes the word of God comes through someone else. It actually comes through someone that says something to us, and it can be even a stranger. So I think the ideas around God have gotten very religiously oriented. And while, again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, there is just a real difference between understanding that God is within and God is love. That is what God is. It's that energy between us that connects us and keeps us whole. So if you have any other questions, I'm happy to go further into that. Please put them in the comments. Whether you're with me here live right now or you're watching on replay, if you'd like more information on that. Or you can always schedule a one-on-one session with me, and we can go much deeper if there's something really specific weighing on your heart in regards to that. All right, do we have anyone in the live studio audience that wants to jump in and ask a question at this point in time? Okay, great.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having us here. This is so amazing. My question is about relationship with money. This is something that's weighing on my heart and has caused a lot of heartache in my life. And I do feel like money is this entity that I'm in relationship with and has both masculine and feminine energies. But the question really is, how can I experience the relationship that I really desire with money? I'm happy to share some details about my current experience, but I was curious.
Well, let me dive into it, and then stop me if you want to add something, like if there's something really specific for you.
Yeah.
But as you know, money is an energy, and it is something that we need to feel deep within. And so when we're wanting to attract it, there's the law of attraction, and there's all these, and they're great ways to attract money. But until we actually feel the vibration of that within ourselves, which is hard when the money's not coming in. We have to like lie to ourselves almost, right? Which that's, I think, sometimes where the rub feels like, well, I'm not going to lie to myself. Like, it's either here or it's not. So what I would say is that we go back to the basics, and the basics are the gratitude for all the little things that we get, because we get really stuck. I get really stuck in like that money as dollars. And when we start to go back to that gratitude of thank you for, maybe somebody buys you a coffee. Thank you for, whatever it is, like the little things that come to us, because that's what starts to activate the abundance within us that makes us feel like, oh, I'm receiving. And I think you touched on this, but there's also that masculine, feminine energy where if you're really in your feminine, you're able to receive. If you're in your masculine, you're doing and you're more active. And so it's having that balance and that nuance within yourself as well, so that you are receiving. Because sometimes especially when money isn't coming in, I know from experience that sometimes it's harder to receive, because you're like, no, I can do this myself. There's no reason why I should have to take a handout. I'm not suggesting that's for you, but maybe in the collective, a lot of people feel like, oh, it's a handout. I want to earn it. I want to receive for my gifts. And I think we experience that a lot in the spiritual community, especially because we give so much and we care so much about what we're giving. And so it's back to that feeling of abundance that's deep within, that vibration deep within, and it comes in so many different forms. That's not cold hard cash. And then as we really focus on receiving, then the cold hard cash does come. And it does all snowball, right? Because you look at people who have a lot of money, and it's so easy for them to get more money, right? If you want to go to the bank and get a loan, the people who really need the money can't get it. But if you have a lot of money, you can easily get a loan. So it's kind of like that weird energy of having to be in that foundational place. So I think for you right now, there's a really important, I don't really like the word lesson, but like, I feel like it is a lesson. And I think that it's for the collective in the spiritual community, that we see our worth and our value in love. Like one of the lines in the introduction of my book is the new currency is love. How rich are you? And I think when we anchor into seeing the value that we provide, then other people start to see that value, and they start to link it to the monetary aspect of it as well, because we're by nature real givers, right? And we need to still get back into that receiver mode and to erase the ideas of handouts. Like if somebody wants to help you genuinely, right? Because you know the hooks. Like if someone's going to give you money and it's got hooks in it, you don't want the money. Right. It's not where you want to be. But when we really shine our light and we're vibrationally in that essence where someone can see our truth and they can see like where we're at, what we offer, maybe it's a business plan that you have and you want to get investors. All of those things really will start being attracted to you. I think the last thing that comes to say is we're so programmed to do. And while doing is very helpful at times, it is so much more about being and really anchoring in. And what's coming to me is to do a meditation where you're actually like, if you're just sitting in your normal meditative pose, and anchor your sit bones into the ground, and pretend maybe like you have a little monkey tail or something that goes like deep in and wraps around a big crystal, like a really incredibly valuable crystal, because that is who you are, is in that big richness of it, and attaching to I know it sounds kind of crazy, but the crystal itself, and that you are part of that wealth and that financial abundance, and that you're actually pulling the energy up through you, as opposed to like how we get programmed, like looking externally outside of us, like where is it? How can I get it to come to me? Is it coming to me? Because it's our mind that's judging if it's here or not. And so I always like that meditation because it just sort of anchors me into like the riches that we are and our birthright of abundance, right? Because it's just the mind that brings in ideas of scarcity. And so we just need to continue to unravel whatever program it is. So back to the lesson, it feels like for you, because I know you're a really powerful spiritual being and you have so much to offer the world, that when you crack this nut, it's going to be something that you share with so many other people that's going to help them crack the nut too. And I think it's all happening right now where you know, the new currency is love is actually going to flip pretty soon, because people are suffering so much, and they're going to start to see the value of the light and the vibration that we bring to planet Earth, more than that materialistic view that people have of what makes people successful or what makes people wealthy. It's just going to be totally different. And of course, you can be completely wealthy and be full of love, right? That's the idea. We all want to go there. We all want to have the wealth, the financial wealth, and also the love and the light that we share and shine the, you know, the light and show the way for others too. So I think it can be both. Any other questions on that? Did I hit what you were asking about?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, that was really, really great. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Should we go to another audience member or anybody online? Okay, let me jump to this next question that was pre-submitted. I thought I was really good friends with a woman, and only to discover that I was giving so much more than I was receiving. How do you distinguish between a reality check and heartbreak? Not knowing all the nuances of like how this happened, feeling into the energy of it, it feels like this friend showed you who they really are. And a lot of times what happens is we have all these expectations of how our friends should be, how they should react, what they should say. And we don't know always where they're at in their mind. So number one, I would really gauge yourself in like, where is she or he, she, in her state of mind? Is she in a capacity where she could even respond in the way that I wanted? That's number one. And number two is just touch base with her and say, hey, when this happened, I felt like I was relying on you and you didn't show up for me. And, you know, maybe it's my wound, maybe it's not, but I just really need to talk to you about this, because it makes me feel like our friendship isn't as valuable to you as it is to me. Now, if that doesn't feel comfortable, because sometimes it doesn't, then it probably is giving you even more of an indicator that this person isn't at a place in their spiritual evolution, in their emotional ability to communicate their feelings that you are. And you might want to consider, I'm not saying like drop them like a hot potato. I'm just saying consider where they are, because we have to often meet people where they are. And as we expand and as we grow and as we become more articulate and able to, you know, unravel our minds and feel our emotions, we are kind of like ahead of the game a lot of times. And so you have to kind of make that call. Like, is this a time when I put my hand out and I say, hey, you know, come next to me, let's talk about this? Or is this a time where you say, hey, this has happened maybe one too many times, and you go, you know what, I'm just going to gently let that hand go. And I'm going to let them do their process and experience their emotions and feel whatever's coming for them, and not go into the fight or flight of like, she's no longer my friend. And I'm not suggesting you're doing that. Again, some of these things are for the collective, that we just want to find it within our hearts, a place of forgiveness for when other people don't show up for us, because oftentimes they're doing the very best they can with what they have at the time. And sometimes it's not good enough for us. And I get that. And so you don't have to sacrifice your own feelings or your own desire for that friendship. I think you have to let go of the expectations of someone that's just not there, and maybe just not there temporarily, maybe just not there, you know, for other reasons that you don't know about. So feel into how much do you want to really understand them, because when we start to understand them, I think they're going to start to understand you. And if nothing else, it's going to get you both really vulnerable and juicy, and in a place where I think you can find a conscious uncoupling as a friend, or deepen your friendship. And what's coming is when you get really activated and you say, I don't want to reach out to them, or I don't, right? When there's that, ooh, like that is sometimes the best time to go deep into that, because that is often your shit too. And there's something about you that's, probably from past relationships where you felt like people didn't stand up for you. And this is just another one of them. And so really go deep into you to understand, why did I call this person in to have me experience this heartbreak and this heartache? And then I think you'll know, like, this is what the reality is for me today. It may not be what it is tomorrow. And as soon as you change your energy around it, it'll change the energy around that whole relationship, and you'll give them the option to either stay or go, or show up for you next time or not. And it's just a much softer way to do it. All right, hopefully that's helpful. If not, please put in the comments. I'm happy to add to that. And again, if you want to talk more about it, we can do a one-on-one. And it looks like we have another live question. Okay.
I just lost most of my money with a poor investment. How do I tell my partner?
Just tell them. I know it's really obvious, but just tell them, because whatever you try to do, the longer you try to wait, the more energy you put around, oh my God, this is the loss, the worse it's going to get. So we've all lost money, sometimes massive amounts of money. I invested a ton of money in something and I lost it all. And it was really hard for me. I mean, it still has some like potential lifeline to it. But what I'm focused on is that the money that I invested, I know that it actually went to a really good cause. I hope that they can turn it around. I hope that it'll all, have something that'll be on the back end that'll feel like a good investment. But I really had to go into my mind and do some serious scrubbing and say, yeah, I know why I invested. Here are the reasons. And even if it was a gut feeling, because that's where sometimes we get ourselves the most, when we actually take the like, ooh, I got that gut feeling, I'm going to invest. And sometimes we don't always have all of the pros and cons. But those are the best investments, because you did it with where you felt your money should go, and your money still made a huge difference. It paid the bills, it paid salaries. And so focus on that part of it. Now, I know you're going to say, well, but the reality is that we need the money now and it's gone, chances are. And so again, it's that transparency with your partner to say, here's why I invested. I'm working to reframe this, because if you don't reframe it, then every investment you make moving forward. So I don't make an investment unless I know I've cleared my energy of the investment that I lost. Unless I know for sure that I am in the energy of this new investment without the baggage of the other investment. So the truth will always set you free. It'll set you free with money. It'll set you free with partners. It'll set you free with anything and everything you do in life. And so talk to your partner and tell them the honest truth. And if you feel like you screwed up, tell them that too, but don't beat yourself up, because beating yourself up isn't going to help. You're going to get the lessons. I remember a long time ago, a boss of mine was talking about how someone screwed up really bad. And he goes, you'd think that they would have gotten fired for that. And I said, yeah, didn't they? And he said, no. He said, they didn't get fired because we knew that the wisdom that they gained based on the situation that they endured and had to go through and work through was more than, we would not want to start over with someone new that didn't have that wisdom and experience. So I feel that way about this investment, that you had some kind of, wisdom that now you're getting out of it and you're going to learn something from it. I learned something from mine. I might do things a little bit differently as a result, or maybe I would do the same things and I just would just switch my lens as to how I'm looking at it as I go along. So hopefully that's helpful. And if you have a chance to stick with it, like if you didn't have to sell out, like if it's not like an absolute loss, then I would, if you have an altar, you have anything that, you feel like has a charge to it, maybe a crystal, I would write down your intention for that money to still flourish and put it on your altar, put it under the stone, whatever resonates for you to to thank the energies that be for this experience, as opposed to wallow in the loss, which, look, I do know it's difficult, but you can do it. And you will gain so much from this moving forward by just shifting the nuance and the lens. And I think you're going to find that your partner might be surprised at your vulnerability and your honesty. And I don't know, but this is what's coming to me, is that there might even be some tears. And so don't hold back speaking your truth, especially if you feel really bad about how you lost the money, because I think the tears are really cleansing for you as well, and cleansing for your partner to see. And I know that what happens when we get emotional is we kind of close up, we close our hearts, we close our minds, we close our ability to just say what's really on our heart. And so get to that space, that soft space, and whatever it is. And maybe you write it down. Maybe you write down some things you want to say. And if you feel like you need the crutch, you say, honey, like, I'm really nervous about this. I got to tell you something that is, I'm absolutely devastated. I've got my phone, I've got my notes, like do not be ashamed and do not be shy of being emotional about this, because the more you can clear it, the better. And I think the more your partner can see how much you care and how much it meant, it'll create a really nice opportunity for vulnerability and for your partner to see you in a different way. So hopefully that's helpful. If not, give us some comments. Is the person still online live with us? Yeah, so if there's something else that comes through on that, or if I haven't quite gotten to the nuance that you need, let me know, and we can dive deep. Okay. Anyone else have a question in the live studio audience that you want to jump up to? No?
I'm actually may I comment to this being who asked that?
Yeah, come to the mic. Yeah.
Hi, to whoever asked that question. This is really relevant to us here. We've also lost, or at the moment we thought we lost, over $20-something thousand, whatever. And really the value in it for me, as I'm being reflected by Beth, is that there's actually no failures. There's only feedback. And if you focus your conversation with your partner around what you are learning, then everything becomes full of possibility. Yeah. It's no longer what you lost. Yeah. It's now about all of the things that it's teaching you, and how inspired you are now to really figure out what you could have done, or what could have been looked at differently. Ultimately, there was a blind spot that we didn't know. All of us didn't know there was a blind spot, and it's now being shown in a bright light because of the feeling that we have lost something. But I promise you can make it back tenfold.
Yeah, I thank you for that. And one other thing that's coming to share is many years ago, it's not active today, but my grandparents had land and they struck oil, right? And I'm not saying that you're sitting around, just thinking that you're going to strike oil. But what I'm saying is that my grandfather has come to me many times and said, you have to stay in the magic. You have to stay in the unlimited possibilities of abundance that the universe has. And to the point that was just made, if we focus on the mistake and that vibration of the mistake, then we just naturally, through law of attraction, get more of the mistakes, more opportunities to see more mistakes. So the faster we learn, it's not about fast, but the wiser we are in doing the reflection of what the situation is, whatever it is, the more we can anchor in, the wisdom, so that we don't have to repeat the lesson and just move on through it. All right. So do we have another live question, or do we want to go to, okay, we've got one in the studio audience. Great.
Hi, Beth.
Hi.
My question is about when you're about to, you're getting the downloads that you're supposed to start a new project. You've gotten some messages, you're seeing some signs, you're seeing more and more people in your reality that are doing that thing, and you're going, oh, I want to do that. Yeah. I'm getting signs that I'm supposed to be doing that. But I feel resistance. How do I break through that resistance? How do I know when it's time to start and how to start?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really love that, because if you have something stuck, I think there's so many different ways you can get at it energetically. And the fact, obviously, that you know that there's something stuck is first and foremost really important to acknowledge, because a lot of people just kind of go on and they're like, yeah, I don't know, but feel into where is it? You know, I know you're very familiar with chakras, and I would definitely go into like, which chakra is this? Right. And then just be asking your higher self of like, what is it in there that is, I don't know, for me, I'm kind of like getting this energy around like the third chakra and just, you know, a safety. I mean, I know the first chakra is safety, but third is also your home, your spiritual home. And it just feels like there's something to really nurture there and like hold on to, you know. I think another example that's coming is, I've never had a child, but in childbirth and before the child is coming, there's a lot of fear that comes like, will I know what to do? Will I know how to feed it? Will I know how to, you know, like whatever. And so I think that's what's happening is there's this great anticipation, and you just, you know, we don't want to, sometimes like this very 3D words, but we don't want to screw it up. And so it's just like, what is it that's the fear? One of my favorite things to do, other than feeling into it, which you do, is get your journal out and start writing like, what is it that I'm fearing? Because that's always where the block is. It's either fear or love, right? Either we're like, whew, head first with, you know, like love and intuition and gut feeling. And when we've kind of got, and it's timing. You know, timing is everything. It's divine timing. And so if you're getting all of the people and all these things lining up, I think it's staying in that like fabulous excitement of the magic of like, wow, and there's another person and there's another person. It's like, oh, but I'm still feeling this, you know, and just being really present with it and not trying to shove it down. And I'm not suggesting you are, but I know in the collective, a lot of people do like, oh, I'm just going to push through it. It's like, just be so gentle and journal it, feel it, and just go, what is it? And then I think in this case too, you'll see other people come to you with a message. Like someone like randomly will say, you know, I was going to do this, but, and then you go, and you're like, what was that? And then you kind of go, oh, that's what my issue is, you know, like it'll come in your external world too, I think, if you just stay really present to that. Yeah, but that's a great spot to be. But I know how like, ooh, tantalizing it is, because you're just like, I just want it to really blossom. And so getting to the heart of the matter and the fear of the matter is, I think, where you're going to find the real juice to shift it. Now, there's a lot of modalities that we could go through that would also help you get to that. In the Awakening and Healing Handbook on BethBell.me, there's a ton of different modalities that you can partake in that will help you really get into that somatic place. I just did family constellations in my living room yesterday. That's also like a great place, because it's oftentimes in the subconscious mind where this fear is residing, and it's harder to get to without help from others that are really going to get into the energy line of it. So yeah, is that helpful?
Yeah.
Something more? Okay.
No, that's perfect.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else, or should we? Yeah, we got a live one. Okay.
I fell in love with a woman very quickly recently, in rapture. Should I try to pace myself?
Love is love. And if you feel deeply, madly in love with someone, you should explore that, because these connections don't come across or come along in a lifetime that often. I mean, we can fall madly in love with people, but you know, when you're really soulfully connected, it's important to dive deep. But yeah, you got to come up for air, and you have to just sort of sit with it and be with it, and know that there are stages of love, right? The first stage of love is attraction, and then it's infatuation. Like the person can do no wrong, and you just love everything about them, and you like lose yourself. And so that's where you want to come back to just like grounding, like, okay, I know who I am. I know what I want. And right now, this person is being a mirror for me to show me that this is what I want to feel about myself, because that's what we are mirrors. So that's what love is. Like love is actually never outside of us. So if you're in love with someone, they're just helping to reflect to you your own love. It's still within you. It's not actually coming from them. Yes, they are the person, the shiny object that's showing you this and allowing you to feel this, but it's still you. So take the activation and go deep, and stay, in whatever you feel is right for you. If you feel like it's going too crazy and you just need to take a break, then take a break. But communicate. The most important part is to communicate, like, hey, because usually what happens is you fall madly in love, and then the mind kicks in. So you separate, and then the mind comes in and it goes, oh my God, what about this? What about this? What about this? Wait. And then the heartbreak, like the past heartbreak comes in, like all the memories that are stored way back in your body at a cellular level come in and go, oh, well, okay, da 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 da. So pay attention to patterns of heartbreak, like what's coming forward for you. Don't run from it. A lot of people want to run from it, like, oh, I'm scared, I don't know what to do with myself. And just really honor that beautiful connection. And I would also say, because I'm a big journaler, because I find that it helps me to quiet my mind, and it gets the pen to the paper, and then I can just sit with myself, like, what is it that I really want, and just stay focused on who you are and what you need, and is it a match as you move forward in this relationship with the other person. And if at some point something feels misaligned, then you just have the conversation. You say, there's this, and it doesn't quite feel, or, and what you might find when you do that is that it's just something you're making up in your mind, and it's made up because of a fear, or it's made up, because of a past experience that actually has nothing to do with that person. So that's what's so beautiful about relationships. And you've probably heard me say, if you've watched the show before, I love heartbreak. I hate to be in heartbreak, but I actually really love heartbreak because it helps us break our heart open so much, and that more light can come in. And when we get to that place that we don't fear the heartbreak, then we can just go in and love big and dream big, and not fear what it means to the future. Just be in the moment now and get the lessons and get the wisdom. And if you're meant to be together, you'll be together. It'll just magically twirl that way. And if you're not meant to be together, you'll get the lessons and you'll get out. So I wouldn't hold back. But you just need to know who you are and what you want, and continue to communicate that with the other person. Is that helpful? Do we have any other comment about that from the viewer or someone else? Okay. All right. Hopefully that's helpful. And anyone else in this live studio audience want to jump up? Okay, we've got another question.
Hi, Beth.
Hi.
So if you look at the news, there's so much chaos in the world right now. Bombings, killings, evacuations in Egypt and Gaza, and genocides in Africa, and unrest in South America. It's all over the world. And yet I was just in Rome with, 500,000 tourists, and not a single bit of conflict in the entire, week that I was there. Coming back through the international airports, there's, 100 nationalities all living perfectly harmonious together. How do I reconcile, on a daily basis, how I feel about the future of the world?
Yeah, I love that question because it's so relevant right now. And I like to just go back to you. If you have financial means and you want to donate to some great cause, that works. But it goes back to you in your community and with your people and how you feel, because otherwise we get our heads twisted around so many times with all of the unrest that's happening. I'm not saying you're ignoring it. I'm saying that you're actually anchoring in your peace and what you have right now, which is living in a great place that doesn't have unrest, and that you continue to be empathetic to the other people, because there's a lot of people right here in the community that are deeply impacted. They have family, they have friends, they have, their whole culture is at risk, abroad. And so it's still happening here. The unrest is here. And the way that I feel that we can help heal it is to not focus so much on what we can't do. And I'm not suggesting you are, I think a lot of people feel helpless though out there right now. And that's why you're asking the question. And it's to look at our brothers and sisters out in the community with love in our eyes. That when we see someone that, they might be acting really ridiculously. They might be from a different culture. They might be, Egyptian. They might be Israeli. They might be, from the Ukraine. And we don't really know what's going on behind their screen. We don't know what's really deep in their heart. And so I think that every moment of now is how we project our light and love out into the world. And that has a ripple effect, because that one person that maybe you saw at Starbucks or you see somewhere that you make that eye contact with, and maybe you just smile, you don't necessarily have to say anything, can really just give them this feeling of being seen, acknowledgement, and validation of who they are. And that can help ripple energetically back to their own family and their systems, because everybody wants to have, not everybody, but a lot of people want to have an opinion, and they want to voice their opinion. And so sometimes it's just listening to other people. There was a story that I shared, and I just feel compelled to share it again. It was a lesson for me that I went and I was walking Lily, and we sat at a bench, and I sat next to this guy that I don't know. And I wasn't sure if he was homeless or he could have been wealthy. I don't know. But he looked maybe a little bit edging on the homeless side. And he said something, I think I said, oh, it's a beautiful day, just wanting to acknowledge the beautiful place we're in. And he said something about politics. And I said, oh yeah, that's interesting. And I just kept saying, wow, that's interesting. And of course I wanted to say something about what I thought, and I love to engage in conversation in general, not as a debate, but just as a, a sharing. What I found is that when I just listened and I just heard what he needed to say, it really helped. So as basic as the advice may sound, I feel like for the entire world, the best thing we can do is to really anchor in loving our brothers and sisters as we're out walking the earth. And when we see the media, I would say try not to get so wrapped up in watching all of it. Tune in, get a tidbit here, get a tidbit there, so you kind of know what the pulse is. But man, it's so easy to get suckered in, especially with the algorithms. You watch one and then the next one comes and then the next one comes. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, your whole YouTube channel is filled with, the same topic, right? Whether it's a political or it's a, something about the wars or whatever. And so just monitor yourself, really just go, hey, am I watching more of this versus what are my inspirational things? What are the things that I'm doing to do energy clearing, or what am I doing to expand my consciousness, or, where's the balance of the media that you're watching as well? Because I think that's the beauty. I haven't had a TV since 2005, and I absolutely love that, because I don't have to be part of any of that world. And yet I have a wonderful platform like YouTube, where I can go in and pick and choose what I want to see and what I want my algorithms to show me. So just kind of look at it like that. How do I want to balance what I'm exposing myself to? And then when you're out there in the world, also when you're in conversation with others and they start talking about the political scene or the war scene, just if it resonates for you, say to yourself, I'm going to give this topic 5 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day. And then if you've reached that threshold, you just say, yeah, you know what? I think you're bringing up a really good point about the war, but I just realized that, I've had my fill of that topic today, and I'd love to talk to you about, and then just have something in line. I'd love to talk to you about something really positive and bring that forward. Yeah, whatever that is. I don't know, whatever your topics are that you really like to talk about, and that will open people's hearts as opposed to close them. And so, I think that's really the wisdom that comes through to implement on a daily basis. Is that helpful?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, I know we're kind of down here, but we've got a couple more pre-submitted questions. Do we have anybody else online that wants to ask? Or, okay. All right, so another pre-submitted was, my friend wants to get divorced, but when he found out he'd have to pay alimony, he didn't know what to do. Any suggestions? Well, okay, yeah, a lot of suggestions here. Listen, when the soul contract is done, and that only you know when that is, it's time to get out, because what will happen is everything will go sour. Everything, your health, your wellness, your mental wellness. And if you stay married, it's sort of like if I were to say to you, okay, go ahead, stay married. Are you comfortable with your paycheck right now today still being 50%? And you're probably going to say no, but it's still going to be 50%. So either you get out now or you get out later, if that's what it is. I don't know what the laws are or whatever the alimony is. I'm just making up a number. And so you really want to anchor in, like, in my mental wellness, in my soul contract, is this the right thing to do? Now, before that, I would say, really have that open conversation with your partner. Like, is the soul contract done? Is this irreparable? And one of the things I think is so important about this conversation is understanding, are they willing to continue to grow? Am I willing to continue to grow? And if one or both of you are not willing to continue to grow from the relationship, that's where oftentimes the soul contract is done. That then it's a stalemate, and you've done what you can. But the trick is that when you go into the next relationship, if you don't heal whatever you brought that partner into your life for, you will bring in another person that has that same wound that you connect on. So just know that if you leave one relationship and you haven't healed the wounds that soul contract was set up and designed to help you with, you're going to reattract the same thing in a different package in a new partner. So I would really sit with yourself. I would focus less on the money. I would focus less on the alimony, because money can come from lots of different directions. You're not necessarily stuck with anything unless you get in that mindset that you're stuck with this situation about the money. So it's really not about the money. It's about your well-being, and it's about your mental health. It's about their mental health. Maybe you leaving them is the best thing that could ever happen to them. We don't know. So because you know where you're at in your soul contract, and you know where your points are, where you're like, yeah, I'm not going to grow, or yeah, I still have room to grow, or are they willing to grow? But come at it from a place of non-judgment. This isn't like, you don't want to grow, so we're getting a divorce. No, not like that. It's not like that at all. It's that you've identified from a very conscious place that, hey, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to move forward because we're not both at the same place of wanting to grow in this relationship anymore. So hopefully that's helpful. If not, please put in the comments or schedule a one-on-one. I'm happy to go deeper into that. I know sometimes that can be really challenging. Okay, do we have any other last-minute online ones? Okay, so there was one other one here that got pre-submitted, and I didn't quite get all the details on it. So it says, how to energize long-term relationships, parents, spouses, friends. And then there was something that didn't get here, but I know that it came through about, parents and wanting to spend time with parents, but not wanting to spend time with parents. And I think that it's the value of the relationship that is so important to really think about. Not so much like, do I have time? Because we never know what's going to happen to us or to our loved ones, to our parents, to our children, and not from a place of fear, from a place of gratitude, from a place of, here are the things that I love about this person. And if you're feeling forced to maybe go visit a parent or something like that, I would really focus on like all the juicy bits that you love about that person, not about like, oh, when I go see so-and-so, they're going to do this and complain about that or whatever it is. Go and love them for that, because that's just who they are, and they're in your life. And if they're family, friends, and you're not ready to not have them in your life, then you just got to love them for who they are. And I think when we start loving people for who they are, a lot of times their behaviors actually reduce, the annoying behaviors, and it kind of falls away and it just goes into another place, or they don't do it around you. So, especially family, like if you want to know how enlightened you really are, go spend some time with family. So I always look at my trips home and with my family as like, let's just see, it's a little check engine light on, like what's still triggering me or what's not triggering me, or, what are those patterns or what are those beliefs, the comments that come out of your mom and dad's mouth. that you go, oh yeah, noted. Now I know how that subconscious belief got in there. All right, hopefully that's helpful. I know we're down to the end of the hour here, and I just want to thank everyone here in the live studio audience. I so appreciate your energy and your love and your support. Anyone online, please, if you're watching on replay, you can always put a comment. You can add questions. You can go to bethbell.me/question. And there's so many other resources on bethbell.me. If you haven't done the State of the Heart assessment, please do. It's so important to know your state of the heart. And there's also the Awakening and Healing Handbook. Lots of tips, tools, techniques, modalities in there to help you with all of your awakening and spiritual growth. There's also the Psychedelics Resource Guide, which is a beautiful way to really dip into psychedelics and understand a little bit more about them. And maybe someone that you know is interested in them. It talks a lot about the integration. So there's a lot of juicy stuff in there. And then there's also the Herpes Handbook, which I love talking about herpes. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'll say it every week that it's a virus of the mind. We need to release this. And so the handbook goes into a lot of great information on herpes and the mind viruses that we get ourselves into. So please check those out. And I look forward to seeing you again next week, every Sunday, 11:11 Pacific time. Oh, and if you're interested in the Awaken Inner Wisdom community membership, you can also check that out on bethbell.me. So lots of resources there. I look forward to seeing you again next week. And until then, wishing you much bliss and love on the journey. Namaste.